Today is a rainy day, it's been thundering all night, so it's a perfect time to redesign the Toyota GR86. Now I dropped a video on the BRZ, the 2022 BRZ and the GR86 yesterday on my second channel, talking about what I think about the designs and which one I would actually buy if I was in the market for one of these cars. And moving forward on this channel, on the TheSketchMonkey channel, I'm only going to release complete redesigns such as today's video. All other videos related to design talk, what I think about new designs, impressions, Tesla updates, YouTube tips and tricks on how to grow your channel. All of those videos are going to be on my second channel. So if you haven't subscribed and if you're interested in seeing those type of videos, go subscribe. I'm going to link the video, the BRZ GT GR86 video down in the description, so you can go and subscribe to the channel if you want to. Now, here it is, the GR86. And don't get me wrong, I think this is a cool design. The front really reminds me of the Nissan Z Proto because of this squarish intake right here. So what exactly do I want to do with this design? Why do I want to redesign it in the first place? Well, I think it can be made a little bit better. I think the lines are a little confused at some point, and also in the front end I think it's too squarish in the grille, so I want to have some sort of connection to the lines that goes from this place right here. You see this line? It doesn't really connect to anything, and same with this line right here. It's just a plain line that it connects to, but I want to have a little bit of an angle right here. So if we have an angle going from this line going down here, create a bit more interesting shape than just a squarish design. Second change I want to do is, you see that this it goes in here, so it kind of bends inwards. What I want to do is take this line and have it be almost straight down like this and create a underbite, if you will. It's just gonna make the car, I don't know, it's gonna make it look better in my opinion, simple as that, and more like it's hugging the road instead of the road kind of coming in underneath it. I don't know how else to explain it. I'm gonna show you exactly what the design is going to look like after the redesign is done, obviously. One big issue that I have with both the BRZ and the GR86 is that if you look at it from a side view, or even from this view right here, you can see the undercarriage. It looks unfinished down here. It looks like it's missing a part. These two cars, they desperately need some sort of side skirt, so that's what we're gonna add onto this cars as well. And I did a redesign of the 2022 BRZ a while back, making it exactly like I would like it to look like. One of the key issues that I have with this car and the BRZ is this line right here. You have a lot of lines going on right here, a lot of lines going on right here, but nothing here in the middle. So what I'm gonna do is just redesign center part, extend this line right here, and have it go into the door handle right there. Very simple changes. If you're expecting a complete massive overhaul of this design, this is not going to be that video, but I am going to do both the front and the rear view in the video. So let's have a look at the rear, what's going on here. This look identical to the BRZ. There is no difference whatsoever, except for, of course, the badges that you have right here. So what I want to do here is, you see this beautiful ducktail here, which I love on both these cars. I really like how this is coming out from the top and creating this off point when you look at it from a side view. But I want to have this curvature somewhere represented in this part right here. I want to have that same curvature inverted, represented with other curves that kind of creates a framing for this part right here, for the center part of the rear end graphics. So how do we do that? How can we add those angles in here in a natural way? Well, to me, that would be creating a chamfer that goes something like this underneath the headlights that connects to this line down here. So this part is going to be a chamfer that's facing up, and then we have almost an ellipse in the rear connecting from the ducktail in the top and then down to this chamfer and into this part right here, which is the opening of the trunk. And other than that, I think these days diffusers are becoming a little overkill. I think this is the same thing here. The diffuser, there's just too much plastic for no specific reason. So what I want to do here is to just lower this part, have it go somewhere here. That's all that's needed, and then we don't have to have this massive flares sticking up. I don't know how far these stick up here, but it just doesn't make sense to have them be that high. They take up too much real estate in the rear, and it doesn't really look attractive either. Too heavy curvatures going on and too much up and down. Let's just take it easy and flatten it a little bit. And on top of that, we're gonna have the side skirt right here as well, and the wheels. We need to fix the wheels here because I want to have them be almost flush with the bodywork. They need to stick out a little bit, and I love it when sports cars has staggered setup. That means that the rear width is a little bit wider than the front, and that's typical for sports cars, specifically, of course, rear-wheel drive sports cars. To have traction in the back, you want to have some thicker or wider tires in the rear. I am going to redesign the taillights as well to have them be more flat and stick out a little further like this, to have it separated from the BRZ. This would obviously not work in production because that means that Toyota would have to probably raise the price for this, since they would have to come up with a brand new light assembly for the rear. But I'm just doing this for fun. It's not like Toyota is going to implement these changes. In the front, Toyota has a little bit of a different headlight assembly. I think it would be suitable to have that in the rear as well, to separate the two brands instead of having exactly the same. Even the LEDs inside here are exactly the same as the BRZ. Just have a little bit more separation between the two brands. So with that said, let's jump into the redesign here, and I'm going to show you the final results. Just some minor tweaks in this video, just to have some fun and see what we can come up with, and see the changes that I think would make for a more interesting design. So let's talk about what makes the BRZ and the GR86 special. As you know, we used to have the Cyan FRS as well, but that's no more because Cyan itself was discontinued in 2016. But the FRS, the BRZ, and the GT86 were based on the same platform. And this platform today, it's a front-engine manual rear-wheel drive car, which is not something you see every day today, and specifically in this price point. Since everything is being taken over by electric cars, people are buying crossovers and these ridiculous names that people come up with, the shapes of the car, SUV coupes and so on. But so I'm really happy that Subaru and Toyota are still making the car, and I think that should be celebrated in itself. Now, when it comes to the design, I do wish that the Toyota and the Subaru here were a little more different than what they are. I think they did a decent job in the front end, because you have to think about the cost of manufacturing these cars, and in order to push the price down and not have it be in $45,000-$50,000 range, this is what needs to be done in today's world, specifically when you're creating on a platform and a car that is so unusual today, which is the format that we just talked about, the front-engine manual rear-wheel drive. If you have a couple of companies helping each other to come out with these cars, that in itself should be celebrated, and that will also bring the price point down because they're using the same parts. All that's really changing here from the Toyota and the BRZ and the Subi is that the front bumper is different, and the front bumper is just a different mold. It's nothing really expensive. It's not like you're changing the shape of the headlight, which would require a lot more new parts from suppliers and what have you, and that would obviously bring the cost up. So for the redesign here, I just wanted to sharpen up everything and make it look a little tighter in the front end, and also specifically I think in the rear needs some help here with the Toyota to make it more distinct. A detail that I absolutely love about both of these cars is the ducktail, and I talked about that in the BRZ video I made a while back. I just love when they have a clear end. If you look at a car from a side view, so what I want is that the rear part of the side view should have a clear send-off to the line. So it should, if you look at the side view, you have the greenhouse going above the coupe and then dips down and then go into the trunk, and then I want that tiny little upswing at the very end of the design, and that just makes a whole lot difference, even though it can be the tiniest little detail, such as, for example, the E46 M3 has this tiny lip on the trunk. It's so tiny that it's almost ridiculous, and you wouldn't even notice this if you didn't know it was there. But it's not an integrated ducktail, it's just something that they added onto the trunk. But that also makes a difference to me, because I just love when they put it there. It makes for a distinct ending of the car, and that's what I love about it. And that's also what I think both Toyota here and obviously Subaru as well did a fantastic job on the rear end of this car. Alright guys, we are done. I just want to show you the before and after. So this is the before of the front, and this is the after right here. So I gave it a little more of a definition in the front. What I love about this design that we did right here is specifically this part of the grille. I think this works a lot better because you see now I created these lines right here and gave them more of a sharpness to them and have them be confidently connected to the grille here. You see that we have a where the grille turns, that's exactly where these lines attach to the grille, and I think it gives it more of a sharp and chiseled front end. And also, if you look at the side view, if you look at the side skirt down there, if we can compare it to the before here, you can see that the before really looks like it's missing something there, because you can see part of the undercarriage and the plastic parts, or wherever the aluminum parts down there. But if we add a side skirt, it just covers everything up, and it's like a sketch. If you're sketching a car, you want the baseline, which is this line right here. This is the baseline of a car sketch. You want that to be the thickest line because it's going to bring the entire car down to the ground. Even though it's not necessarily sitting lower, it's going to look like it's sitting lower when you're adding parts to the bottom, to the baseline of a car, to bring it down to the ground. I think it looks a lot better this way. And of course, extending this line right here into the door line, this connects all the graphics that we have here in the original version that you can see right here. If we go back to the stock, you can see that that line just dips and doesn't really connect anywhere here either. It just dips down here somewhere and goes to some place around here. But why not have that be connected? And at the same time, we create a bit of a shoulder that builds structure in the middle of the car, because otherwise we have a lot of structure here with the shoulder line, and we have a lot of structure here with the fender line in the front, but we don't have a lot of structure in the middle, so it kind of looks wobbly graphically in the middle. We want to have some sort of enforcement in the middle, and that we do that by creating this little line right there. I also worked a little bit on these lines right here to simplify the rear, and of course the wheels. The setup of the wheels, I want to have staggered rear. I pushed them in just to give it a sense that it's a wider tire and wheel in the rear. And that's basically, I think that was all the changes in the front end. Let's have a look at the rear here. So this is the before again, and this is the after. So as you can see, the same changes as we did in the front. You have the side skirt, which makes a huge difference here, I think. And also the side line that you have going, which creates the shoulder line, also makes a big difference. But lowering the diffuser right here, you can see that it doesn't take up as much space now as it did in the original. Like you see here, it's sticking up too far. I just brought them down a little bit like this, and also created these chamfers that we're talking about right here. I think that it makes for a more chiseled, more defined design. And you also have this spoiler here now. The ducktail is being mirrored almost with some sort of chamfer down here. Creates this ellipse that encapsulates or frames the rear end graphics. Also decided to shorten these and extend them in length to make them look a bit more dynamic and change them up from what the BRZ looks like. Same thing here with the wheel setup as the front. We have a wide rear tire to make it look planted. It's not going to be optimal if you want to do all the drifting. I know that's what these cars are for. But if this was my car, I would rather have a good looking beefier tire, not too beefy, not something extreme, but just something to have it be a staggered setup. I think that looks great. And also have maybe a half of an inch spacer to just push the wheel out further towards having it be flush right here with the bodywork, while still maintaining clearance for bottoming out and so on. So that's the redesign of the GR86. A quick little change. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.